Hey, video, ready to talk about it. Let's get into it. 90-Day Fiancé. I always have questions. Y'all know I got questions. I'm going off the top of my head. I don't have my notes. Don't judge me if I forget somebody, but I'm going to talk about them. So let's talk about Jabri and Miona. Jabri is the one, he's the mixed young man who is dating the girl from Russia or Ukraine, and he can actually speak the language, and his best friend is from there. So they have a music group, and his name is David, but we know over there is David. So David does not like Miona from one time meeting her. So Miona has a feeling about Jabri still being his friend, and they are like coming to a head with that. So apparently David and Jabri did some kind of ceremony from their culture that makes them like responsible for each other's child. So Jabri was like, when we have a kid, he's gonna be the godfather. And she's like, no, I come first. And he's like, no, I've known him for a very long time, and I'm like, that's my best friend, and you're gonna have to figure it out, work it out, or like get out. So then she doesn't like his mom is like, you guys are living here basically rent free, and you are going to have to cook and help take care of the house, and not just lay up and do nothing. So their first meal, they made chicken Alfredo. Now I don't get it. It's the whole internet. It's Google. It's YouTube. And they got the one that's in the freezer. So I'm like, even if it was chicken, voila, y'all could figure that out. Like, but the parents were like, the chicken was rubbery. So it says to me that was very store brand and not chicken voila by Bird's Eye, because chicken voila by Bird's Eye is not nasty. I have done that a few times when you are in a pinch, and his mom and dad were like, it just tastes nasty. Chicken doesn't taste like chicken. And Jabri says to his parents, y'all gonna have to stop talking to her like that. I said, oh, that must be your other side talking, because I don't know who you talking to your parents like that. But I mean, all right, they were eating it like it was fine. So I just don't know what's hard. You get a can of sauce, a can of Alfredo sauce. You get a bag of penne pasta, you boil it, you add the sauce, and you cook chicken. I don't get why they couldn't do that. And add some broccoli if you want to be fancy, but I digress. Coven's dad, I can't think of the man's name, Kobe, and I forget the lady's name who was together, who had the baby on a one-night stand. These women on these shows who be having sex raw dog and be just getting pregnant and keeping the baby, and you don't know what's what, because this is just a one-night stand, amazes me. Like, you in a whole other country. But anyway, Kobe came over, and he was upset because he wanted to go see his son. Like, as soon as he landed, he hadn't seen his son in 17 months. She is like, no, we want to spend one night together because we're not going to have this chance again. So he agreed, and then they went and saw his son. And when I tell you, that was the sweetest emotional episode I've ever seen on 90-Day Fiancé, ever. Like, he was crying and he was overwhelmed. Like, on the way to the house, he was crying. He got in the house and saw him, and he started crying. Like, it was just so sweet. Now, I'm not giving him no pass yet, because they all be different after a couple weeks in the States. But it was really nice to see how emotional he was when he saw his son. And his son didn't recognize him. Like, kids receive things on your tablet or on the camera, on the tablet or on the phone, and it's never the same when they see you in person, because they still don't get the concept of, you was on this whole tablet, now you in my face, you bigger than life, you know what I mean? So I get it. And then the parents, welcomed him and everything, and they were saying, oh, our job is done, so we're gonna have to like hand him over, we're tired. They're older, and dealing with an 18-month-old, listen. and the baby's 17 months, and like they show scenes for the next episode, and she's just popping her titty out and breastfeeding him, and I'm like, oh, okay. So he just grabs them and just goes for it wherever they are, which is fine, because I know people who have breastfed when till their kid was 3 or 4. But I digress. That wasn't my story, because kids have teeth, and I'm like, what is the other couple that they talked about? Oh, the lady, she's an older woman, and she does like Reiki therapy and massages and stuff like that. And her son is, I believe he's autistic, or he has another disability. I think it's autism, though. And she brings him home, and the guy is very young. And he's from, I want to say, like Israel, or I can't think of the country. I can't think of the country he's from, but I want to believe it's over like Israel. That's what I want to say. And he's younger than her, and for him to jump into a father role and take care and become a step parent to an autistic or child with disabilities is a lot for him, and his facial expression says it all. But we're gonna see. Who else was there? Because they're doing like breaks. They're not doing full-on episode recaps of everybody. It's like 3 here, 2 there. Oh, the other young guy who's with the girl, I think they're the same age, and she speaks. I love when that person speaks the language, so it doesn't make it weird and awkward, and they can't communicate. Keep using that stupid ass app. But she and he are getting along, and he wants to get a laptop, and she said, for what? You didn't have a laptop then, so why you need a laptop now? And he said, well, we need it. She goes, well, all we have is $6,000. And he's like, well, I have my money, you have your money, but I want to do my money, but I want to do my money with. And she's like, yeah, so no. She's very bossy. He don't like it. That's all I have for now, because I'm thinking of top of my brain cells. But like, comment, and subscribe. Oh, my goodness. I'm so sorry, y'all. How could I forget about Bilal and Shahida, or Shida? I can't think of his ex-wife and his new fiance have the same name, close or very close to it. So Bilal and Shahida, it's crazy. He introduces her. She is gorgeous. She is gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. He brings her into the fold and brings her to their old house. And I believe I talked about this before. He brings her to the old house, which is very outdated and run down. And yes, he lied basically and said, this is where I live, but just trying to test her. And it's like, don't test me. Don't play with me. You play bingo. You don't play with me. To try to see if I'm really legitimately here for you or not. So they go into the next episode. She meets his family, and she was scared. And she was trying to be appropriate because they're Muslim. And she met the mother and the sister, and they were like, oh, how'd you like our old place? And she was like, it was different, trying to be respectful. And then Bilal was like, oh yeah, she said, this and that and that. And it's like, yeah, because how he came to Trinidad with the Louis and this and that, and then to come back and see this is how he lives, it was like, I don't know who I'm talking to, which is understandable and respectful, because it's like, this is how most of the people in the U.S. live. They balling out with Ferragamo and Balenciaga, and they live in their mother's basement or live in a room with 5 other roommates. So, she was confused. But then he took her to say he's going to meet his family in this newer home, which was their home he lived in with his mother and sister. And he said, welcome home. Then he brings her. She's like, oh my gosh, why would you do that, babe? Like, she wasn't making too much of a big deal, but it was enough for him to show concern. So he shows her the bedroom upstairs, and the bedroom upstairs, he had all these gifts by the window. It was like Givenchy, Chanel, Louis, and it's like, you just got mad at her for thinking she's materialistic, but then you're proving to her the point. So what are we talking about? Do you want her to think you're poor? or do you want her to think you're rich? Which one is it? And it can't be both. He has like a yoga room for her, which is very sweet of him to do. He's typical, well, sorry, not typical Muslim. He is a sometime-ish kind of like Muslim. A lot of Muslim men are very controlling. They want their wives to be submissive and subservient to them, and not like basically speak when spoken to, do what I tell you to do, and do as I say, not as I do. And it's going, yeah, okay. So I feel like she's possibly used to that behavior because she is of that religious background and faith, because she wears the hijab and she, she's very modest with her clothing. So I'm like, but so y'all could have sex and sleep in the same bed, but y'all can't, like, which one is it? Are we following a religion, or are we gonna play butt naked bingo? Like, I don't understand that whole concept, because it's just off to me. And then they're married. I forgot the terminology for it in Muslim, but they're married but not really married. And it's, I don't know. I can't even tell you what it's called. If you ask me, I will look it up and tell you what he said it was, and go from there, because it confuses me. Or did you say you're married to be able to have sex? Like, help me help them. He has 2 children, and she said she's used to children, older children, because her sister, her niece and her nephew are like her kids, and she always has had that personality. So she's fine with that. And then they say, well, what do you want her to call? In the next episode, they say, well, what do you want her to call you? And she's like, oh, she can call me like mom or something. I'm like, oh, wait a minute now, hold on. I'm a stepmother too, and I let him call me my first name. I don't know Ma, no M2, no M squared. Just call me my name, and it's fine. You respect me as such, and I'm fine with you calling me my name. And then she says she wants children. He said he wants kids, but they're getting older, and I feel like he wants to travel. And she's like, yeah, but I want kids. So that may or may not be the deal breaker with them, but we shall see. Now I'm done. Like, comment, and subscribe.